morning, Reggie. I gotta say, you are doing a fine job hosting opening day events.
Thanks, Manny. I don't think you and Todd really set the bar very high to achieve. I mean, you two don't have to do much to make everybody else look good.
Okay, and there you have it, folks. Reggie, last fall was especially hard on everyone, especially after going through a whole semester of online learning.
I hear you, Manny. I started virtual online with my son at home, and man, after 1 week, I got fired.
I'm telling you, Reggie, I can't wait for everyone to make it back to campus.
Did you do anything fun over the break?
Well, Todd and I were bored, so we kind of made our own video.
Wow, a music video? Like MTV stuff?
Well, kinda. Do you want to see it?
How bad can it be?
You might want to see it first before I answer that question. Well, here goes nothing.
I guess there's nowhere to go from here but up. So, welcome to day two of Spring 2020 opening week.
Happy New Year, everybody, and welcome back for the spring 2021 semester. I hope you had a restful holiday break. Before we start a new semester, I just wanted to let you know how proud I am of everyone at Bakersfield College, Porterville College, Saracosa Community College, and the district office. I know everyone is working as hard as they can to provide opportunities for our students. The pathway to economic recovery at the end of this pandemic starts with our community colleges, and I am grateful for the ways you all honor your responsibility to the people of our district with your efforts. The Board of Trustees and the district overall have been fiscally conservative and efficient with its resources, which will help us weather the storm through our current public health crisis and its ensuing aftermath. In addition to the struggles of the pandemic, conversations of diversity, equity, and inclusion have also come to the forefront. The district has been proactive in developing initiatives that advance equitable practices at all three campuses and the district office. I've invited Lasana Hotep to lead this effort for the district by providing the training for leadership at the district and college levels to fully comprehend educational equity frameworks and develop equity-minded approaches that are applicable to their daily work. The events of the last year have been extremely difficult for all of our students and employees, but the new year is an opportunity to hope for a brighter future. I appreciate the conversations that are happening here at Bakersfield College and throughout the district about the best practices to keep our students safe while providing them with the education that they need. These conversations will be even more important going forward as we set the stage for potentially expanding access to our campuses in the summer and fall semesters, always following the guidelines provided by the state governor, county public health agencies, the CDC, and other officials. Thank you all for your resilience and your forward thinking during this ongoing crisis. I can't impart to you how much faith I have in each and every one of you to help create a better future for our district students. I hope you all have a safe, productive, and engaging spring 2021 semester. Stay safe, stay healthy, and go Gates.
Historically, higher education was the domain of the elite. In America, this manifested in part as the Ivy League universities, Harvard, Yale, Princeton. Education was, in effect, a trusted web of privilege that dominated the body politic, and over the decades came to symbolize power and privilege in the United States. Under the social stresses of rapid economic growth, technology, and prosperity, institutional access to education continued to expand accordingly. Education was widely recognized to be the essential element to sustain the emerging economic and social structures and evolved into a more codified web of trust, an academic ecosystem developed and defined by credits, courses, programs, faculty workload, etc. Education has always been more ecosystem than monoculture, and over the decades, other frameworks of learning were developed: apprenticeship, industrial competency-based education, a range of private systems. However, even as alternatives grew and created their own communities of institutions, within academia, the dominant standard academic institution was still a traditional Carnegie credit system. In recent years, there have been a multitude of forces at play that have created the conditions to move alternatives into the mainstream. For example, the public questioning of whether traditional academia had created a monopoly of learning, resulting in a stale, unresponsive system that was increasing its costs but not the corresponding value added. Number two, the growing student debt in the country, which reached $1.6 trillion in 2019. And three, the emerging smart technologies with the exponential development of artificial intelligence, as well as the high-resolution visual representation of multidimensional objects, really set the stage to develop a much more complex infrastructure to capably represent an expanding complex ecosystem. Yesterday, I introduced what I believe to be two fundamental truths that should guide our work in a context of seemingly constant and unpredictable change. Truth number one, humans are learning all the time. Learning is unavoidable. Shouldn't we therefore make visible and formalize more of the learning that each student brings, albeit in non-traditional settings? And truth number two, our educational institutions are grounded in social trust and quality assurance. Shouldn't we therefore expand this web of trust by building the capacity of peers to provide quality assurance through the peer review of the rigor and standards of the learning in these alternative systems? Today, we will explore these expanded ecosystems and the technology capabilities to facilitate this transformation. You will hear from BC's competency-based team, I'm so proud of them, on the work we are undertaking. And if you are interested in being involved, go ahead and ping them. And also read the book by Deb Bushway, A Leader's Guide to Competency-Based Education, to get a deeper understanding of the principles, the structures, and the mechanics of competency-based education. You will also see an excerpt from the ACCJC Learning Seminar series, where Wayne Skipper will take us into the construction of the technology. Imagine the recognition of micro-learning badges embedded within the mainstream structure of courses and programs. Wayne brings his insights as the technologist behind the popular badging platform of Badger, as well as the Program Pathways Mapper. The Program Pathways Mapper was initially created in response to Bailey, Jagger, and Jenkins' 2015 book, Redesigning America's Community Colleges, where the authors describe the importance of clarifying the path by developing the necessary course sequence within a program map. This is pillar number one in a guided pathways college. This is how a college moves from a cafeteria-style college to a guided pathways college. BC really took the lead working with the State Chancellor's office. Now, with badges, the simple fact of having badges embedded within the program maps, we have in essence merged the traditional learning structures and the alternative learning structures that previously only coexisted on the periphery. By using tools like Badger and Program Pathways Mapper, the web of learning adapts and expands in a variety of different ways while maintaining the trust of the public. Again, BC is taking the lead in this work. I'm so proud. We are truly at a tipping point in this work, which will surely be a marker in the history of higher education. My dear Bakersfield College colleagues, enjoy the presentations.
Well, hello, Renegades, and welcome to Opening Day, Spring 2021. We can only hope that this will be the final virtual gathering for us. Dr. Wojciech, Erica Menchaca, and I will take these few minutes to share information on competency-based education. That's CBE, not CBD. I will provide a brief background on CBE for the California Community College system. Erica will discuss the impact and benefit for student learning, and Dr. Wojciech will present the next steps. So how did we get here? There are many components and moving parts to the topic, but I'm going to highlight 3 events that may be useful in providing background and context. The first event was in January 2020 when the Chancellor's Office, the California Community College Curriculum Committee 5C, and expert consultants engaged in deep learning around direct assessment CBE. At that time, I was a member of 5C and participated in the process. We spent the next 6 months creating CBE regulations for statewide implementation. In that same 6-month time frame, the State Budget May Revise was released. And in the revise, there is a note for public post-secondary institutions to maximize access and equity through innovative practices such as competency-based education. So that's another support for the undertaking of the work associated with competency-based education. The second event was in June of 2020 when we completed our work of the proposal of new Title V regulations and guidelines. These were submitted for review and approval to the Board of Governors. And then lastly, in November of 2020, The proposed Title V regulations were adopted by the Board of Governors, allowing the Chancellor's Office to begin implementation. The Chancellor's Office started with requesting letters of interest from community colleges, followed by the release of the application for participation in the collaborative. And that takes us to where we are today at Bakersfield College. With that overview, I will pass it over to Erica Menchaca, who will share the benefit of CBE for students.
When hearing about a new project or even work that's being reframed, I ask questions. I ask questions like, who's this going to benefit? What are the pros and cons? I did the same thing when I heard about competency-based education. How is this going to help the school? How will this help the greater community? But most importantly, how will CBE benefit our students? So after reading about it some more and hearing from experts in the field, I realized that direct assessment competency-based education was a means for pulling together all of the work that we're already doing at Bakersfield College, creating an ecosystem for student learning. A CBE framework benefits students in so many ways. I'll mention a few right now, but I'm sure there's more. First, there's transparency of curriculum. Through CBE, students know what's expected of them. There are clear requirements, rubrics, set thresholds for competency mastery. Next, there's authentic assessment. Students demonstrate their level of understanding, ability of competencies, objectives, and outcomes that are developed for each course and program through intentionally designed assessment, building from the work that the assessment committee is spearheading. In addition, there are consistent learning requirements. Students will no longer feel like they're reaching for some moving target. Requirements for mastery will be set in coordination with external partners. Working with external partners allows for another benefit, economic mobility. The skills that students learn and master in the classroom will be recognized for employment and advancement. CBE gives future employers confidence in knowing that the student mastered a skill. There is no longer questions about which skills were mastered and to which degree, right? If a student earns a C versus a B in a class. Micro-credentialing or badging can be a tool to share these competencies more clearly with these external partners than a traditional unit-based letter grade transcript. Some of us are using badging in our classes right now, thanks to the help of academic technology. These benefits alone, I think, warrant CBE a closer look, but there are even more reasons to continue the exploration of CBE. One key aspect of competency-based education is flexibility and self-paced learning experiences. Students work at their own pace, quick, slow, on the weekends, every other week, they decide. This journey is strategically designed by the faculty with the end in mind. This flexibility means that there needs to be intentional scaffolding towards mastery. This is where it becomes clear what type of ecosystem is in place that supports students in their learning. There is faculty guidance, advising. There's so many student support services, I can't name them all. Finally, CBE increases equity by removing barriers. There are specific barriers that impede student success that CBE can help remove. For example, controlled start dates, limited class meeting times, various learning styles, and set deadlines. Not only can students learn and master competencies as quickly as they're able to, a few weeks maybe, but also as slowly as they need to. CBE provides a way for students to no longer worry about losing financial aid or going on academic probation because it takes 2 semesters to master a topic instead of, say, 8 weeks. Other questions I've asked about CBE are, what are some possible pain points? Are there possible unintentional negative impacts to prevent? Of course, there are still a lot of unknowns, plenty of difficult discussions to come, and numerous aspects to work through to identify which options best fit at Bakersfield College, serve our students, and serve the greater community.
Now, already today you've heard from Jennifer Johnson, who talked a little bit about the history leading up to this point. And Erica Menchaca, your faculty co-chair of the curriculum committee, talked a bit about the benefits of CBE as well as some of the ways that we've been implementing CBE already here on campus. What I would like to do is talk a little bit about what the Chancellor's Office has planned, as well as next steps for us here at BC. So the Chancellor's Office is planning a pilot to support the implementation of direct assessment competency-based education associate degree programs. The pilot is going to take place over 4 years from 2021 to 2025. 10 colleges are being invited to participate. And the Chancellor's Office is going to provide over $500,000 to each participating college in order to support the design, planning, and implementation of these competency-based education associate degree programs. Now, a really important part of this pilot, in addition to the program piece, is the development of a collaborative that involves the participating colleges and the Chancellor's Office. And the purpose of this collaborative is really going to tackle the questions associated with CBE implementation and create a roadmap for implementation for the state. As I've talked to people about competency-based education, there's been a lot of enthusiasm, but there's also been a lot of questions. What does competency-based education really look like? What happens when we move away from that Carnegie unit? What happens if we try CBE in the context of credit courses rather than non-credit courses? And the collaborative is really going to have the ear of the Chancellor's Office and have the opportunity to lay the groundwork for what the future of CBE looks like in the state of California. So let's keep these dialogues going. I know that we've been having discussions about CBE in the CTE programs. We had quite a few discussions that were really meaningful in the fall. And Erica has held a flex session this week to talk about competency-based education. We're also planning presentations to the Academic Senate and to College Council to further this discussion. And I really can't wait to keep talking to you, see what we can come up with. Because really, in the end, if we can be involved in this pilot, it's something that will be good for BC, good for our students as we develop these programs, but it's also going to give us the opportunity to shape what the landscape of the future of competency-based education looks like in the state. So thank you very much for your time.
Part of that ecosystem, last week we talked about some credit for prior learning and how to integrate prior learning. Today we talked about CBE, and I think sort of a third leg to that ecosystem, or the nucleus of that ecosystem, is how we represent and how we look at credit for learning, right? And for the longest time, for 100 years, we've been talking about the Carnegie unit, which is unseparable from time that we sit in our seats learning. And that's sort of been a hang up that we have in higher ed. And as we shift to a focus on what people have learned in the place of how long they spend learning that, then we need to start talking about the representation of that learning in more powerful ways. And so I'm really excited to introduce to you our next speaker, Wayne Skipper, who is going to give us a short presentation on badging or micro-credentialing. Wayne is the CEO of Concentric Sky and the mind behind a lot of the most important advances in micro-credentialing, as well as the program pathways mapper. And I think he'll definitely get the conversation started for us, and then we can follow up with some questions toward the end. But Wayne, I'm going to turn it over to you now, and you can take it away.
Excellent. And thank you so much, Bill, and to everyone for having me here today. It's an honor to be able to meet with you and to hear about all of the exciting work that you're doing. I wanted to run through a few quick slides to sort of level set some of the concepts and talk a little bit about my work and what I do and how I think it might relate to the work of your various institutions and how we can together serve students. So, my name is Wayne Skipper. I'm the founder and CEO of Concentric Sky. Concentric Sky is not your typical corporate organization. We are not a startup. We do not have investors. I formed the company 15 years ago as a software architect working to improve online education system. I've since grown the company to be about 90 people, and we're based just a little bit north of you here in Oregon. I apologize for my lack of video. I'm a little bit rural, and it makes my audio choppy if I try to have audio on. So I wanted to cover a few different things that I think you will find relevant. So if you're interested to learn more about Concentric Sky, I would point you to the Wikipedia article about us, which is quite excellent. Cover some of the things that we've done over the last 15 years. And our philosophy going into this work is how we can raise all boats through technology, rather than how we can build specific products to serve individual markets And this makes us a unique actor in this space and has led to some of the innovations that we'll be talking about here today. I wanted to touch on a couple of things that earlier speakers had said. I was really taken with what Sonia said originally around the time that we're in right now and what we're able to do with what I think of as structured data. So taking the unstructured information of the world and putting it into machine readable and computable formats. I think that she really hit the nail right on the head about the timeliness of this work, taking CBE, using it to quantify proficiency and to better serve students by quantifying their journey. I was also really impressed with what Deb said. I really liked, Deb, your analogy of how you set the sort of the axis of proficiency versus the axis of time, CBE versus seat time. I thought that was a really excellent analogy. And I like the way you talked about recognizing modularized learning achievements, because that's a lot of what we're going to be talking about here in a moment. So moving past this first slide here, I'll talk a moment just about the Badger platform. So Badger is a system that my company wrote in 2015. A key thing to understand about us is that we are not just a company that created a digital badging platform. We worked with Mozilla and MacArthur to design the underlying technology standards upon which all digital badging is based. And it is through that work that we created the Badger platform and made it available to organizations. So we designed a number of other technology standards with a focus on interoperability, again, towards this idea of addressing equity challenges and really using technology beneficially to raise all boats in our society. So our platform is now used quite broadly around the world. We have over 25,000 organizational partners spanning 160 countries. We are endorsed by Mozilla, the only platform endorsed by Mozilla, the original creator of the digital badge. And you can find out more about that relationship at backpack.openbadges.org. We are the native badging system of Canvas, which will please many of you. We have an arrangement with Canvas that allows our system to be free to those institutions that are using Canvas. So if you're using Canvas, you can get started with the free offerings that we have there in partnership with Instructure. It's a great way to just dip your toe into the water of micro-credentials and see what they might be able to do for you. And we have, as I mentioned, a wide array of partners. The world's largest employer, Walmart, has our system now being deployed across the entire 1.5 million employees they have in the United States. The largest public university, ASU, uses our technology, as well as SNHU, WGU, and thousands of other institutions, including quite a few of those, both at the CCC, CSU, and UC levels in the state of California. So I want to talk a little bit about the Program Pathways Mapper, which is one of my favorite projects in the whole world. And what I love about this project is that it solves a couple of key problems for institutions, problems that really didn't seem that great at the beginning when we started the project, but as we've explored the value of what they do, we've seen great efficacy. And I'm a big efficacy guy. I like to know that the things that we do actually work and have the outcomes that we are seeking. So what the Program Pathways Mapper does is to create what we think of as a single source of truth for institutions. We have built a tool that we call simply the data cleanup tool, whose job is really to correct inaccuracies between things like MIS codes and catalogs and other places where human data entry might have created information that isn't completely correct that might be surfaced to a student. And once we have this single source of truth created, obviously pushed back through the appropriate curriculum committee at the institution, we have this idealized model of a pathway for a student. Then we can start to do some really interesting things with it, such as build these kinds of visualizations. So this is the Bakersfield College Computer Science program. And you can see this is what I call a registrar-friendly or traditional way of thinking about a learning journey for a student. So this is based on time. You can see the courses here in their appropriate sequence. And what this doesn't really tell you, though, are the specific learning outcomes that one might develop as part of each individual course. It's fairly generalized. So when we start to think about how you move from this traditional representation to a competency or skills-based representation, what I generally tell institutions is that it's not necessarily an either or proposition. You can actually do both at the same time. And this is a comfortable place for a lot of institutions as you're trying to understand how you can justify to the faculty and how the faculty can get their heads around the amount of work that is needed to start creating skills aligned student learning outcomes at the institution. It's a lot of work, right? So we have to see clear benefits to the institution, to the faculty, to the students to do that. And this tool allows us to do that in a way that is really visual. Faculty really enjoy working with the authoring of these. It helps us find challenging situations where maybe something didn't work exactly as we thought it would when we were looking at it on paper. So it's really nice to have it visualized. And we find that there's great efficacy visualizing it for the students as well. So when I start thinking about skills and how we might map them to this more traditional representation, what I would say is that you might have a shared student learning objective across, say, 3 of these courses, say teamwork or leadership or some soft skill, and that you might want the student to demonstrate it in one place, but not necessarily in each of the 3 courses 3 different times. And so you could think of a single competency representing something that spans multiple courses. And then you could see that there might be other overlapping pieces here where teamwork is developed in one area, another skill in another. And you can start to think of what I call a meta student journey, which represents the skills that one might develop while you're going through the coursework. And this is how we can map the skills that are associated with the learning outcomes in each course with competencies and micro-credentials. And there's a lot of really interesting work that you can find on the Bakersfield College website about what we've been able to do here with Program Mapper and its efficacy, particularly addressing equitable outcomes. So with that as a foundation, I wanted to ask and answer a couple of key questions because I find that these are often things that are misunderstood by people. And the first is, well, what is a micro-credential? What are these things that we're talking about? And the answer to this question is that it is not a digital sticker, right? And this is where a lot of people get tripped up by the name badge. I like to say that Open Badges is a really terrible name for a really excellent technology standard. So what a digital badge is a set of information that is digitally verifiable that describes information about a learning achievement. You can see what those pieces of information are over here. What a badge is not is just a picture. The picture is the vehicle by which the credential moves around. And this is the most important thing to understand about a digital badge, right? It's not just a pictographic representation that anybody can hold up and say, oh, look, I have the picture. What we did with Mozilla and MacArthur is we created a way of moving digitally verifiable information about learning achievements from point A to point B inside of an image. This allowed us to get images up to LinkedIn and Facebook. You can share them in email, download them, upload them in the file system, because those systems all work with images natively. So we didn't have to go build a bunch of integrations and APIs. That's what a micro-credential is. It's an image that contains the data that describes the learning achievement in quite a bit of detail. So for example, you have the name of the credential, criteria under which it might be issued, obviously the image, information about the issuer, etc. In particular, what is interesting here is information about what we think of as alignments. This can align out to skills frameworks that really are, I think, what is the wind under the wings of digital credentials and micro-credentialing today. This ability to take the aforementioned skills that might be associated with the student learning outcome in a course and attach it to a digital credential. So you can say this credential represents proficiency against this skill. And you can't see me pointing, unfortunately, I don't have my video on. But what you're pointing at is what we think of as a Rosetta Stone that describes what the skill is and how one might measure that proficiency. So for example, you might issue a digital credential to somebody for a welding certificate. You might attach a video of that student doing a weld and the rubric used to assess that evidence. All of that travels as a package, and an employer can look at that, see the evidence of proficiency understand the rubric used to assess that proficiency, right? And then decide for themselves how to value it. So very powerful technology. We have issued collectively as an industry about 43 million credentials around the world to date is our current estimate. So the second thing I like to cover when I talk about micro-credentials, and I'll try to be brief, this is my area of interest, so I talk a lot about this stuff. But the second thing I like to cover is that a digital badge is not intended to be a new form of recognition. So in education, you have the existing ontology of recognition. You have degrees and diplomas and certificates and certifications. And so a lot of educators look at a digital badge and think, great, throw it on the pile, right? We'll find something to do with it. We'll recognize a skill. Maybe we'll gamify a course. And those are valuable uses of digital badges. But our original intent with Mozilla and MacArthur was to create a common syntax in which you could express any form of recognition. So that degree, that diploma, that certificate, that certification, all of those can then be represented in this portable package that serves the learner. In the same way, you might give a learner a PDF version of a paper degree because it will be more useful to them. You might also give them a portable digital representation of that credential. And that's what badges are for. So with that, I'll move on to the next concept here, which is really stackable learning pathways, which is, well, what do you do with the digital badge? Why would anybody want one, right? What value does this provide to our learners, and how can we use that to better serve them? And so the answer to this is the creation of another standard written by my company, which is called Open Pathways. This is an open technical standard that anybody can use. It's not tied to our product. It's not tied to any particular system. It's an open standard. And this allows us to take any badge from any platform and stack them together into a system of meaning. That system of meaning might be a common course sequence, program sequence. It might be a competency framework, think AAC and U value rubrics, some sort of 21st century skills rubric, or a marketable skills progression used by an employer. And as you take these, you have rules that apply to whether you are counting each one of these. And I'll talk about how this is really valuable when you're starting to think about equitable outcomes and recognizing prior learning here in a moment. But you can take any badge from any platform, a Badger badge, a Moodle badge, a badge from Blackboard or D2L, or any of 1,000 different platforms that issue open badges. You can ingest these badges, set rules around recognizing the value of these badges inside of your institution or across institutional boundaries. And we call these pathways stackable because they begin and end with badges. This means that the badge that ends one pathway can begin another badge or begin another pathway at the same institution or at another institution. So for example, this might be an AP badge offered in a dual enrollment setting with a community college partner. The badge might be the evidence of the student's proficiency demonstrated in that AP setting. And this could open up a learning pathway in a CTE program at a community college. This might be a 2-year CTE program that then articulates into a 4-year college setting. This might be a continuing ed credential that then becomes part of an employer training pathway. And these are all real world use cases for us. We do all of these with these technologies today. One example that I think is particularly interesting in California is the ability to create a badge, say at a non-accredited institution, and then use that to begin a pathway at an accredited institution. So you can see various types of training programs, boot camps, other types of systems that can then start to feed you these artifacts that you can use to recognize prior learning in whatever setting it might occur. And then, because we can point to skills frameworks, we can use this to have sort of an either or choice between the credentials that we might accept, which allows us to address learning that happens across a wide variety of settings. And this is how we can start to use these technologies to address and create more equitable outcomes for our students. So there's a lot of talk about competency-based education, and I think of competency-based education to a certain extent as pushing on a string, right? You need employers to be pulling on that string, right? So if the goal here is to improve employment outcomes for our students, what we have to help employers do is to start thinking in terms of skills and competencies. And you'll be glad to hear that there is a very large amount of work happening in this space today to help employers and institutions build these frameworks that they can then rely on together for doing exactly this sort of skills matching. We're answering what I think of as an essential question here. What is a skill? Which is a question that Deb asked earlier. What is a competency? What do these things mean? And I would direct you to openskillsnetwork.org, which is an organization that we've set up with some partners, institutional partners, employer partners, working on solving exactly these problems today. So briefly, I know I'm running a little long. I will try to cover a couple of case studies here just momentarily to talk about what you might do with a digital badge. And this is one of my favorite programs with our partner, Southern New Hampshire University. And what I like about this program is that it guides youth in underserved communities into the mainstream of work and employment. And the way that we've done this is that we've created these badges, these programs that align with the passions and interests of the student, going where the student is, finding out what interests them, what inspires them, finding a way to recognize that as a valuable learning for them, and then starting to build those into pathways that then start to connect into more mainstream types of employment and education outcomes for them. So for example, you might have a student that's interested in fashion. Lovely. Did you know that that could be a career? Did you know that you could build a career around wearable technologies? Right? These are the sorts of pathways that we can open for students if we better understand where they are, what interests them, and we help to sort of tease out the skills and proficiencies that they've already developed in whatever setting that they find themselves. And so what we've done here with the LR&G program is to build exactly this, where we help students identify their passions and interests. And then we start connecting those to opportunities and programs offered by major brand partners. So for example, Best Buy and Gap both participate in this program, where they help people not just identify skills that interest them, but skills that are relevant to the workforce. And then one of the outcomes here is the ability to interview for a job, directly connecting the students, using their interests to the sorts of outcomes that we hope to find for them. And then the next level with this is to start connecting them actually into 4-credit programs. And this is something that SNHU has really taken a leadership position on, which is accepting these badges for college credit. And so this is a really excellent program. I would point you to lrng.org if you're interested in learning more about it. I think that it is a valuable model and one that might be considered in other regions and other states. This is primarily something they're doing in the Northwest, Midwest at the moment. So the second case study is Digital Promise. Digital Promise is an organization that credentials educators, primarily K-12 educators. And what we've done is we've created a very rigorous system of assessment where a teacher will submit evidence of classroom performance to a set of peers. Those peers will use standardized rubrics to evaluate that evidence of classroom performance and then determine if they will award a credential or not based on that. Most educators find this really valuable because peer feedback is something that people put a lot of stock in, right? So if I can show you what I'm doing in my classroom and I can get feedback from more experienced teachers, maybe help me figure out some challenges that I have, that's really valuable to me. And these programs are supported by major brands and major organizations. You can see a few of them here. And these are accepted for for state level CE credit in over 30 states. And this is another Badger-backed program that shows, sorts of things you can do with micro-credentials that are not necessarily tied explicitly to traditional types of assessment.
Hello, my fellow renegades. This is Coach Conrad Dahl here. I'm going to take you through some stretches and exercises just to kind of get you up out of your chair, moving a little bit, opening up the hips. So what we're going to start with first is called a desk chair lunge. So this is really geared towards stretching your hip flexors and your quads. And all you're really going to need is a chair, hopefully something that doesn't roll. You want it a little bit more stable. All right, so this is the desk chair lunge. So all you need is a chair, stable chair, hopefully a non-rolling chair. We're going to do one leg up on the chair, other leg forward, and all we're going to do is we're going to bend this front knee. We're going to sink our hips down, and we want that knee over the ankle. We don't want it to go over the toe, so it's not super deep. Okay, Now, if you're comfortable in bouncing in these positions, I want you to go ahead and just come up and stretch back. Okay, we're gonna hold this for about 15 to 30 seconds, and then we're gonna switch to our other leg. Okay, next, we're gonna do something called the crescent lunge. So it's not a full lunge. And then we're gonna actually take this into a warrior one pose, which is a yoga pose. Now all we're doing here, for me, we're gonna start with my left leg forward, my right leg back, okay? We're gonna bend that front knee slightly, bend the back knee slightly. You're gonna drop the hips. And you should feel this stretch, okay, all the way down this backside and on the quad in the front. Now, when we take it into warrior one, what we do is this back foot, we're gonna turn out 45 degrees and we're gonna straighten the leg, okay? So you can either stand here like this or you can put your arms out, whatever you're comfortable with. But from crescent lunge to the warrior one pose, basically all we're doing is we're straightening this back leg out and we're turning the foot out 45 degrees. So what this does is we're gonna stretch that anterior chain of our body. So like I said, with the quads, all the way to our hip flexors, through our abs, even to our chest. Okay, so next we're gonna do a posterior neck stretch. Obviously, you know, a lot of us, we're gonna slouch in front of our computer screens. That's gonna cause our chin to actually jut forward, and the muscles along the back of our neck are gonna start to tighten in order to hold our head level. Okay, so this is just a simple stretch that kind of helps return length to the back side of our neck. So we're just gonna sit in a chair, okay, or you can stand upright, but make sure our spine is straight, shoulders relaxed, neck is centered, okay? We want it in that neutral position. Tuck in your chin, okay, and just let the gravity gently pull your head down to stretch the back of your neck. Just let gravity take it. Okay, you're gonna hold that for 15 to 30 seconds. Then when we're here, we can lean our ear towards our shoulder. Okay, so I'm going to my right, which would be your left if you're watching me, and I'm stretching the opposite side of my neck here. We're gonna hold that for 15 to 30 seconds, and then we're gonna switch to the other side. Remember, let the gravity pull that chin down so it stays relaxed. We're gonna hold each one of those positions for 15 to 30 seconds, so you should get some relaxation on the back side of your neck. All right, hopefully we're starting to get a little bit loosened up here. Next, we're gonna do a torso stretch. Again, you can do this sitting or standing, it's up to you. So if you've been sitting at a desk for a long time, I would suggest do this standing. I'm gonna do it sitting. What this is gonna do is lengthen the spine, and it's gonna stretch our core, including the abs, the obliques, and the intercostal muscles between our ribs. So what we do here is we want those shoulders relaxed, your neck centered again in a neutral position. We want to interlock our fingers, okay, just like this. And what we're going to do is stretch your arms overhead, palms toward the ceiling. I'm really reaching up here. You're going to take a few deep breaths, then gently lean back to open your chest. So I'm actually going to start leaning back here, and I'm going to target my abs. Take some deep breaths, I'd say 3 to 4. Okay, after you've done that, go ahead, return to center, and we're gonna lean to one side. Still reaching towards the sky, palms up. Take a few deep breaths. Return to center, and we're gonna do the same on the other side. So this is gonna help us find that length along either side of our body, from our wrists through the shoulders and obliques to our hips. Okay, so each one of these positions, we want to hold for a few breaths, and we want to repeat on each side. Those are just a few stretches to kind of help limber you up, get you a little loose from sitting at the desk. You know, when we slouch over on our computer, just to kind of help our posture out a little bit, get the hips a little loose, the shoulders a little loose, the neck less tight. So hopefully this helps you out a little bit. You're ready to go sit down and watch the rest of opening day. All I want to say to you guys is thanks
for being here. Hopefully the stretch has helped you out. Let's go Gates.
Good morning, fellow renegades. I come to you with greetings from the entire KCCD Management Association Board, which includes Jessica Wojciak and Pam Rivers as your Bakersfield College campus representatives. If you are a manager, an educational administrator, or a confidential classified employee, you are a member of the Management Association. Your association board has been very active this year, having renewed our Constitution, creating bylaws to guide the association, recognizing hardworking managers to our trustees every month, and most recently, having worked with district leadership to provide a direct payout for managers accruing excessive vacation hours. Despite the challenges of 2020, this has been a very productive year for the Management Association. Typically, my opening day remarks would include some kind of a funny joke, like, has COVID-19 got you wearing glasses and a face mask at the same time? You might be entitled to condensation. Call my law offices at 555-5555. Or I might make fun of a colleague, such as Stephen Holmes' hairstyle, like this photo. By the way, here is a photo of Steve taken last year and one we obtained from his high school yearbook. Notice any similarities? Or you might hear me say something like, every 3 minutes, someone in America falls prey to a phone scam. And that person is Bill Mosley. You see, where I come from, making fun of someone is a way of showing your admiration and paying respect to them. But for 2021, I am turning over a new leaf. Fellow renegades, you are looking at the new and improved Manny. I have undergone a humor makeover. You will no longer hear me tell not so funny jokes, and you will no longer hear me tell stories like Nick Strobel's sweater that was building up static electricity. When he took it to the store, they gave him a new one, free of charge. Free of charge. No, not me. No more jokes like that. This year, my resolution is to be handy, not funny. Because, like we say back home, if people don't find you handsome, they should at least find you handy. Signing off for now, I'm Handy Manny.
Welcome to spring 2021. I'm hoping that you all had a restful break and some well-deserved downtime. While we can't meet in person, it is great getting to share this time with you and to have the opportunity to update you all on some of the innovative work that the Curriculum Committee has been engaging in. First, let me start by saying how incredibly blessed I am to serve as the administrative co-chair of this incredible team, alongside our faculty co-chairs Erica Menchaca and Marco Saya. I've been a member of the Curriculum Committee since 2012, and I've had the honor of serving as faculty co-chair for 4 of those years. This is a team of highly dedicated individuals that work diligently to ensure as a committee we are responsive to the ever-changing needs of our students, industry, legislation, and community. Let me give you just a few examples of what this team has been working on. In response to the pandemic, our public health science faculty worked with the Kern County Public Health Department to create PBHS B99 and the counterpart PBHS B99NC for non-credit. Infectious disease contact tracing, a 1-unit, 18-hour course leading straight to employment as a contact tracer to help mitigate the risk of COVID transmission. In fact, to keep our students, staff, faculty, and loved ones at home safe, many of us on campus are taking the course as well. My class just ended on Sunday. It was very rewarding to get to be a part of a brand new cutting-edge course created by our very own local experts here at BC. In response to requests from the Kern High School District to support their faculty as they transition to the remote learning environment, our education faculty created the Level Up certificate that consists of 3 3-unit courses. Education B30, Intro to Online Learning Environments, Education B31, Cultivating an Online Learning Community, Education B32, Equity, Accessibility, and Humanizing Online Learning. I am happy to report that a significant number of our BC faculty have signed up for the 3-course sequence as well. If you haven't signed up yet, I highly encourage it. It's just another example of BC colleagues sharing experiences and learning from each other. In response to community concerns regarding the need for our first responders to engage in race-conscious training, our criminal justice faculty, along with Dr. Tommy Tucson, created CRIM B6, Intro to Transformational Policing, a 3-unit course for our incoming criminal justice majors, as well as the non-credit equivalents, Administration B61, B62, and B63. For those already serving in public safety roles, such as Bakersfield Police Department officers, campus safety officers, EMTs, and paramedics. In response to the mental health concerns our community is facing during these difficult times, our psychology and sociology faculty collaborated on creating Psych B61 NC, Resilience Skills Training, a 1-unit, 18-hour non-credit course. This course goes live this semester and is open to anyone who is interested in adding a few more strategies to their toolbox or wanting to help support those around you for increasing happiness, positivity, and productivity in your life during these challenging times. Those are just 4 examples of some of the innovative work that the BC Curriculum Committee has been involved in, as we all rally together to be agile in our thinking to respond to the needs of our students, faculty, and community during the pandemic. Next up, Erica Menchaca to talk about some campus-wide initiatives that the committee is involved in.
Some of the work Vice President Rice mentioned was able to move through the committee so smoothly because of the foundational activities laid by previous non-credit work. For example, this past year, the committee reviewed courses and programs for the Higher Up Project, which aims to provide education access to homeless individuals and get them on the path to employment. Bakersfield College offered non-credit EMLS courses before 2020, but we ventured into CDCPs, or Career Development and College Prep Certificates, this past year with the Higher Up Project. Program managers Indy Grijalva and Jaime Lopez coordinated these groundbreaking efforts with various groups across campus and the Curriculum Committee. As of fall 2020, Bakersfield College has 16 non-credit certificates and counting. In our current remote learning environments, the Curriculum Committee took on the task of reviewing distance education and correspondence education processes at the committee level. The committee reviewed over 450 courses adding distance education modalities through the newly updated Distance Education, or DE, form. As a result, the online percentage for programs increased, and BC now offers over 100 programs that students can complete mostly or fully online. As some of you know, the Curriculum Committee is charged with reviewing curriculum in accordance with Title V, California Code of Regulations. As changes to Title V language are made, the Curriculum Committee continuously works to adapt to these new practices. Earlier this year, new Title V regulations required every district to create a policy by the end of 2020 for Credit for Prior Learning, or CPL. Former Curriculum Committee co-chair Jennifer Johnson led a cross-sectional group that included members of the Curriculum Committee to draft college-level practices for review. You may have seen Jennifer, Armando Trujillo, Jenny Frank, Kim Nickel, and others in a Zoom meeting or two engaging committees and groups in the CPL conversation. The Curriculum Committee will continue to adhere to changes in Title V regulations like CPL, and the more recent language regarding competency-based education, or CBE. The California Community College Chancellor's Office is creating a direct assessment competency-based education collaborative of community colleges to work through several objectives over 4 years. This includes developing blueprints and informing statewide policy. If and when CBE is incorporated at Bakersfield College, you can count on the Curriculum Committee to be in the midst of the work.
This past fall semester, The Curriculum Committee made achievements to strengthen transfer partnerships that BC students can benefit from. As a result of a STEM student transfer grant led by the Dean of Institutional Effectiveness, Dean Craig Hayward, Chemistry Discipline Faculty Professor James Bagara, Nursing Discipline Faculty Professor Jennifer Johnson, and Curriculum Committee Faculty Co-Chair Professor Erica Menchaca, BC convened faculty from both Merced College and the University of California, Merced to develop 2+2 program maps to streamline transfer between BC and UC Merced. These program maps will be published in Program Pathways Mapper to provide a visual roadmap for students to follow to complete their baccalaureate degree. In addition, another major outcome of the STEM grant led to the development of courses to prepare students for transfer to the University of California system. Under the leadership of STEM Pathways Counseling Discipline Faculty Professor Laurel Murtzanos, the committee passed Student Development B8, and it's in the process of developing a STEM-specific Pathways course. Another major stride to strengthen student transfer occurred at our final regular committee meeting on November 12th last year. The Curriculum Committee achieved the Herculean task of implementing CSU General Education Breadth Area F ethnic studies. As a result of AB 1460, the California State University system needed to bring about an ethnic studies requirement to their curriculum in the fall of 2021. This led to the revision of the CSU General Education Breadth, which our students need to complete the associate's degree for transfer. To respond to this, BC identified courses that could potentially satisfy the core competencies outlined by the Academic Senate of the CSU, and began the process to cross-list these courses. As a result of this effort, the Curriculum Committee approved the cross-listing of 15 courses at our regular committee meeting on November 12th last year. These 15 courses will be submitted to the CSU Chancellor's Office for consideration to potentially be one of the inaugural batch of courses for the new CSU GE Area F, coming to you fall 2021. And on that note, on behalf of my faculty co-chair, Professor Erica Menchaca, Administrative Co-Chair, Vice President Billy Joe Rice, we are grateful for the hard work our indefatigable Curriculum Committee puts in every semester to ensure that our courses that we offer our students are current and beneficial to them in their current educational and or career endeavors. Thank you.
Through Bakersfield College, the County of Kern, Bakersfield Adult School Employers Training Resource, we've been able to partner together to come up with a program, a certification program that Bakersfield College is offering, and a portion of that would be also Project Hire Up, which would be something that would allow us to not only bring these folks through a certification program with the accredited curriculum, but also be able to find a job at the end of that. Some of the benefits of the collaborative are that we're actually getting to engage with people in a daily basis in their life and see them transition from being unsheltered, maybe living in a structured situation, whether it would be the Bakersfield Homeless Center, the Mission Kern County, or the M Street Navigation Center, or Garden Pathways. We're able to navigate with them through an education piece with Bakersfield College. These students are learning to get on computers, to use computers. They're learning to be in a classroom situation. And not only that, they're actually going through the education piece so that they will have a certification at the end from Bakersfield College, which is an amazing part of the benefits that actually through our local community college, that certification is coming through them, which is just a beautiful benefit. That's what this program and this collaboration with the CityServe Educational Collaborative is all about. It's about giving somebody that did not have an opportunity, maybe life choices, maybe brokenness, whatever it may be that took them where they are, they now have an opportunity to step into a new place in their life and to transition from being unsheltered, from being in a program, to not only be supported with help and surrounding wraparound services, but also with an educational piece that will give them an opportunity to step into a job in our community. And so this center is really going to be the hub for helping people with job skills and life skills training. It's together in those two things that we believe as we walk alongside people who've maybe lost their structure or found themselves in a place of despair, that they'll be given hope and they'll be given help through the CityServe Educational Center. I think the most rewarding part for me that we've seen so far is just the ability for the folks that we have brought through this cohort to see them give their all, to really be committed to getting up, to getting ready, to having their homework done, to building relationships and friendships with people that are surrounding them, from the professors that are teaching them to the people that are doing life skills. The most rewarding part for me is that we've gotten to know them on a first name basis, and we're seeing them make different decisions about their life. We're seeing a new excitement. We're seeing a new hope in them because they now know that they have a future, and that is an amazing reward to witness that in somebody's life. I think the future goals of the CityServe Educational Collaborative Center would be that as we continue to collaborate with our partners, that in the year to come, 2021, that we would be doing 6 of these cohorts. So we would be, again, drawing from those people who have become into a program, from being unsheltered, off the streets, or however that may be. But I think most of all, bringing the educational piece and giving people an opportunity to start over. And alongside that, they have somebody holding their hand and helping them as they navigate to sustainability and independence to live their life in a way that's productive in our community. And I believe that's what's going to come out of this center in the years to come.
Hi, I'm Ginger LeBlanc, a professor in the psychology program at Bakersfield College, and I just wanted to take a couple minutes with you to share some memories that I have of Becky Whitson. And I knew that if I didn't wear some sort of BC shirt and hat, her spirit would come down and haunt me in the Language Arts building forever. So here, this is for you, Becky. So I've known Becky for 21 years, and she was a consummate teacher. Her students were number one to her. She was so concerned about their learning and would provide voluminous amounts of feedback on papers and essays and exams. She never missed an office hour. She gave students her personal number in case they needed to get in touch with her if they didn't understand something from the class. I know of times that Becky would give students money for food and school supplies and textbooks, and she even helped out one of her cheerleaders once who was kicked out of her home and homeless and needed a room to stay. Even in the last couple of days when she was in the hospital recently, Becky was concerned for her inmate scholar students. She was teaching a class for us, a general psychology class, and she was concerned how the students would be able to finish the class with her in the hospital. She is somebody that talks the talk and walks the walks when it comes to being student-oriented. The other thought that I have about Becky is that she is just legendary. No one, to me, is more BC than Becky Whitson. She graduated from Bakersfield College. She was a cheerleader. She came back to teach for us, coach the cheerleading team, run countless fundraisers, run the BC barbecue, establish community ties, support community businesses that were associated with Bakersfield College. Becky lived and breathed Bakersfield College, and we are very lucky to have had the opportunity to have shared so many memories with Becky, and her spirit will forever be cruising around the language arts building, and we will miss her greatly. Becky is and always will be BC.
Hi, I'm Bob Allison. I'm here to talk about Becky Whitson. You know, Becky, I remember Becky in terms of her having great enthusiasm, positive view of almost everything, even when she was ill, and a great devotion to Bakersfield College. You know, she was a faculty member at BC for quite a while, taught psychology, and she was a wonderful teacher. And I remember her telling me once how lucky she felt to be a BC faculty member, and I can tell you her students were pretty lucky too. She had the cheer squad. She coached the cheer squad for a long, long time, and again, greatly enthusiastic about that. Did a wonderful, wonderful job. And I think in many cases, maybe in most cases, she might well have been more energetic than her students. She worked with the Alumni Association. Matter of fact, she headed the Alumni Association for a long time, and she was responsible for much of the community support that BC enjoys. Even during her illness, Becky maintained that positive view of the world and that enthusiasm and that wonderful smile. A couple of years ago, a few of us BC old-timers, if you want to call us that, took a trip to the Caribbean. Becky among us went through the Panama Canal and did a lot of stuff. And Becky, even though she was, I think, under cancer treatment at that time, still maintained that energy and that cheerfulness that we all know and love about her. So, you know, it's hard to forget her, and I don't think any of us will for a very long time. I can see her now heading up that eternal cheer team.
I've known Becky Whitson now for about 50 years. I'm also an alumni of Bakersfield College, and I was a song leader way back in 1965. I joined the faculty in 1969 as a professor of psychology, and then I taught there for 33 years. My first exposure to, bless her heart, Becky Whitson, was in the early 70s. She came to BC as a single mother with a toddler. At that time, she was also a renegade cheerleader, and she was probably the most perfectionistic student I've ever had in my years. She and I continued our friendship throughout the years. Our children, Nicole and Monty, took piano lessons from the same teacher. So I'd always see her at those recitals. And so we remained fairly close and in contact. She was an adjunct professor at Bakersfield College for a number of years while she was a marriage and family counselor. And she wanted to be a full-time professor so badly. Eventually, she was hired full-time, and that was a day of celebration. Initially, we shared an office for a while. And then when she became full-time, she got her own office. She was always thorough and meticulous, just like she was as a student. When she would grade papers, she would grade them like an English professor, marking exactly what grammatical error and spelling had occurred. Of course, she did comment on the psychological validity of those papers as well. She was thorough in her preparation for her lectures, and her students gave her rave reviews for her personal contact. She was also quite thorough in any position that she would volunteer for. And that, of course, included the Alumni Association, as well as many other campus committees. She was a person that couldn't say no, and I couldn't say no to her. When she asked me to join the alumni board, of course, it's Becky, I've got to do that. When she asked me to chair an alumni barbecue or two, of course, I couldn't say no, I'll do that. And then eventually, when she asked me to be a member of alumni cheer squad from the 60s, I said, well, I'm way too old. And she says, no, you're not. So of course, I did that. You just could not say no to Becky. We shared a lot of pride and love of Bakersfield College, so much so that occasionally we got into a bit of trouble. The pride and love of Bakersfield College brought us together in other occasions too. We had a lot of time spent together with many sharing of intimate moments, many sharing of traveling escapades, and a lot of giggles. Our travels included Mexico, Hawaii, the latest travel excursion, even after her diagnosis of cancer, was through the Panama Canal. In addition, another memorable bit of travel was when we visited Whistler's Mountain up in Canada. Becky broke her leg. That was very sad, but good for a lot of stories. We weren't skiing. We were in the gym, and Becky's on the treadmill going and going, and she fell down and broke her leg. Got great treatment from the Canadian medical folks. Oh my gosh, this is gonna tear me up. So many wonderful experiences that I did share with Becky Whitson. I do want to share that when she was diagnosed with cancer, she completely responded in a manner that I could not imagine. And to her credit, I think she began to be more inclusive and more tolerant of everything that happened around her. She responded in just the opposite way that I think many people would have. She had the best ideas, and when she had an idea, she followed through. I don't think I would have had a retirement party were it not for Becky's idea. I don't think I would have been a Shirley Tremblay Award winner were it not for Becky's idea and thorough submission. Whether it was someone else's idea or Becky's, you didn't say no, and she always followed through. I am going to miss her dearly. I count her as my best friend, especially my best colleague friend, but probably my best friend forever. We didn't go a day lately without texting one another, and I still want to reach out and text her when something happens or I see something that I know she would enjoy. She was a dear I love her and I miss her.
When you think of the biggest cheerleader for Bakersfield College, someone who bleeds renegade red, the face that comes to mind is that of Becky Whitson. I have known Becky for a long time, since my faculty days at BC. I've come to enjoy seeing her every year at graduation, when she welcomes every graduate to move from student status to the prestigious status of being an alum of the greatest college in the nation. Her enthusiasm and love for BC shines through in our colossal Memorial Stadium, where family, friends, and loved ones of the graduates pack the stands. Becky, you must know so many of the treasured stories of BC, the excellence, the competitiveness in the stadium, and on our athletic fields. Tell us.
Thank you, Sonia. You're so kind. Yes, BC is a place of time-honored traditions, a place where friends and memories are made, and for me, a place where dreams come true. My first dream was just to attend BC and graduate. It was an honor to serve as the ASB Secretary for ASB President Vernon Valenzuela, as well as be a BC cheerleader. Then what a great honor then to come back and teach at this great institution, as well as receive a very prestigious leadership award, which is nominated by one's own colleagues. I continue to serve as the BC Alumni Association president and have now for over 25 years. Memories and dreams happen here.
There's so much fun, pride, and nostalgia there, Becky. And I know you met with Alex Dominguez recently about bringing back the past BC SGA presidents together to start developing a strategy to bring graduates back to BC reconnected with their college. You see, the BC president and the BC SGA president share a unique relationship. I know I can, for example, recite the names of the presidents for every year that I have been the proud president of Bakersfield College. I also remember when Dr. Nikki Damania started as the director of student life and how he provided leadership platforms for each and every one of the SGA presidents. Well, back to Alex, he just finished law school and is now preparing for his bar exams. Alex has pinged previous SGA presidents to launch this effort with the creation of the Renegade Alum Council, RAC, so that they could have alumni flocking back to the home of the Renegades.
Yes, I am very excited about it. Actually, Alex and Nikki came to me, which was quite an honor. I knew Alex as a student when I was teaching here and was impressed by his leadership as an SGA president. Alex is quite the go-getter. He actually interned for my son-in-law, Tim Scanlon, when he was a partner with Klein Di Natale. Nikki has been a strong BC support since he stepped foot on the campus. I am hoping to connect the RAC excitement with the Alumni Association, blending the seniors with the juniors, so to speak, in order to revive the Alumni Association. It's been needed for a long time. I hope the RAC movement has 20 plus years to give like so many of us already have. The main goal of the Alumni Association is to raise money for graduating BC students pursuing their higher education. To raise money, it has to be fun. We need new, young blood to make these events happen. Being a member for a year in the Alumni Association costs only $25 and has some perks. But fundraising comes from event planning and bigger contributions. So let's back the rack.
Yes, Alex is certainly a go-getter, and the two of you together will make the impossible possible. Cheryl Scott, Nikki Damania, Norma Rojas Mora, and I stand ready to support this work. So fellow faculty and staff, spread the word. Let's promote being back with RAC. Hashtag Renegade Strong. Hashtag Leadership Matters. Let's get hashtag back with RAC.
We are met together, and in meeting we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor and in rest. We are met together, we are blessed. Peace in coming and in going, peace in labor
Well, Todd, another great day of opening week activities.
It sure was, Norma, and a big thank you to the audience for joining us today. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow at 9 a.m. for day 3 of Spring 2021 opening week. Also remember to... Hang on, I gotta take this. Hello? Hi, Sonia? Yeah. What's that? You want me to remind everyone to sign up for the President's blog at soniachristianblog.com? Okay. Okay, I'll let everyone know. Okay, thank you. Bye. Well, everyone, you heard it right from our president. Don't forget to register for the President's blog at soniachristianblog.com. Operators are standing by, but wait, there's more.
Well, with that, it's a wrap for us before Sonia calls again. Have a great day, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow at 9 a.m. You never know what will happen around here.